Hello Midnights. Thank you for tuning in. Next up, Face of Fallen Light, Lucifer's journey from morning star to Prince of Paradox. Let us know where you are listening from and don't forget to subscribe. The name Lucifer, derived from Latin roots meaning light and to bear, originally signified the morning star, Venus, a luminous harbinger of dawn that quickly receded with the sun's ascent. In ancient cosmologies, this celestial body epitomized brilliance and pride, inevitably followed by descent, serving as a cosmic metaphor for the fleeting nature of glory. This astronomical observation of a bright, rising star quickly giving way to the sun's dominance offered a natural, universal symbol of transient power and beauty. Over time, this metaphor found profound resonance in religious narratives, particularly within Christian thought, where it was integrated into a far more intricate and morally charged story, that of the light-bringer who ultimately became the adversary. In early religious texts, the figure of Lucifer as later conceived doesn't explicitly appear. A frequently cited passage from an ancient prophetic text proclaims, "How you are fallen from heaven, O shining one, son of the dawn." In its original language, this was a poetic taunt directed at an earthly ruler, mocking his arrogance and subsequent downfall, a political satire veiled in cosmic imagery. However, when translated into Latin for a prominent biblical collection, Shining One became Lucifer. This linguistic shift was pivotal. Early Christian interpreters began to understand this not as political commentary but as cosmological history, leading to the understanding that Lucifer, once a glorious being, had fallen due to pride, thereby setting the stage for his identification with the adversary. The very act of translation inadvertently grafted a new, profound layer of meaning onto an existing text. A parallel passage is found in another ancient prophetic text, addressed to a different earthly ruler. "You were in Eden, the garden of God. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created, till unrighteousness was found in you." Like the previous text, this prophetic denunciation was intended for a human ruler. Yet, its Edenic and angelic imagery, mentioning precious stones, an anointed cherub, and a fall from divine favor, provided future theologians with fertile ground for reinterpreting it as an angelic fall. This rich, evocative language lent itself readily to allegorical readings. By the early centuries of Christianity, these passages were interwoven into a symbolic narrative about Lucifer, a majestic angel who, in his hubris, sought to exalt himself above a higher power and was consequently cast down, thereby establishing a foundational narrative for the origin of evil within the divine order. Early Christian theologians played a pivotal role in shaping the Luciferian narrative. One influential thinker proposed that all souls, including angelic beings, were created equal and endowed with free will. In this view, Lucifer was originally among the highest-ranking angels but chose self-glorification, thereby corrupting his essence and transforming into the adversary. This theologian emphasized that the fall was not a divine decree but a consequence of Lucifer's misuse of free agency, a crucial point that preserved divine benevolence while explaining the existence of evil. Another significant early theologian similarly posited that Lucifer's fall stemmed from pride and rebellion, interpreting the boasts of the earthly ruler in the prophetic text as declarations of the adversary himself, thus merging human political arrogance with cosmic spiritual rebellion. Later, a highly influential early Christian philosopher provided a profound metaphysical framework for understanding the fall. He argued that evil is not a created substance but a privation, a willful turning away from the good, much as darkness is the absence of light. According to this philosopher, Lucifer chose self-love over devotion to a higher power, orienting his will towards himself rather than towards the divine source of all good. This prideful reorientation constituted the original sin, not only for angels but also later mirrored in humanity's own fall in a primordial garden. His concept of non serviam, "I will not serve," became emblematic of Lucifer's cosmic defiance, a powerful declaration of supreme autonomy against divine will, echoing through centuries as the ultimate act of rebellion. During the medieval period, theologians systematized these interpretations, integrating them into comprehensive theological doctrines that define the nature of angels, sin, and divine justice. One prominent theologian described Lucifer as a seraph or cherub, belonging to the highest orders of angels, whose original role was to radiate divine light. This high rank amplified the tragedy of his fall. Lucifer's sin, this theologian argued, was a desire to be like a higher power in status, rather than in participation through grace. This ambition, a form of intellectual pride, distorted his will and led to his expulsion from a heavenly realm. Importantly, this theologian emphasized that Lucifer's fall occurred in the realm of will, not time, underscoring its instantaneous and irreversible nature. It was an act of pure volition, one moment perfect, the next irrevocably corrupt. Lucifer's definitive rejection of grace fixed his state eternally, unlike humans, whose temporal falls allow for redemption through repentance, thereby highlighting a fundamental difference in the nature of angelic versus human free will. Beyond canonical scriptures, apocryphal texts significantly influenced early traditions, enriching the narrative tapestry of celestial rebellion. An ancient non-canonical book describes the descent of supernatural beings, angels who defy divine command by revealing forbidden knowledge to humanity and mating with human women. While Lucifer isn't explicitly named, these beings, particularly certain prominent figures among them, served as precursors to the adversary figure in later traditions, embodying rebellion and the corruption of divine beings, often with a focus on their illicit interactions with humanity. Other texts from early religious literature further elaborate on the adversary's fall, often portraying it as motivated by jealousy toward humanity, whom a higher power commanded the angels to revere, highlighting a theme of envy as a catalyst for the fall, adding a psychological dimension to the cosmic drama. As Christian doctrine matured, Lucifer became the ultimate archetype of cosmic rebellion, a figure embodying the antithesis of divine order. The idea of him being the light-bringer who transformed into the Prince of Darkness symbolized the tragic irony of self-glorification and the ultimate perversion of divine gifts. In this theological model, Lucifer's punishment was not merely expulsion but a radical transformation, his intrinsic beauty inverted into grotesqueness, his inherent light into profound shadow, a physical manifestation of his spiritual corruption. This inversion served as a powerful moral lesson, illustrating the destructive consequences of pride and disobedience. This stark inversion is vividly portrayed in a monumental medieval epic poem. At the frozen core of an underworld, Lucifer is depicted as a monstrous, three-faced being, eternally chewing on the most treacherous figures in history, a grotesque parody of the Holy Trinity. Once the fairest of angels, he is now frozen in impotent despair, not burning in infernal fire, but trapped in the cold absence of divine warmth, emphasizing his utter lack of love or grace. This vision marks a profound moral and cosmological inversion. Lucifer is not the master of the underworld but its most pitiable, immobilized prisoner, a monument to the ultimate failure of pride and the crushing weight of eternal damnation. By the time of the Renaissance and early modern period, the figure of Lucifer had undergone further complex evolution, moving beyond purely theological interpretations into the realm of profound humanistic inquiry. In a famous epic poem from the English Renaissance, Lucifer becomes a deeply humanized, tragic character, endowed with eloquence and a formidable will. He is portrayed as articulate, passionately defiant, and capable of both grandeur and profound misery, making him a compelling, almost sympathetic figure. His iconic declaration, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven," encapsulates a psychological complexity that would resonate for centuries, transforming him from a mere theological villain into a figure of compelling, albeit flawed, greatness. This author's depiction of the adversary is not a simplistic caricature of evil but a mirror of tragic ambition, capable of reflection, yearning, and devastating loss, offering insights into the darker aspects of the human psyche. The Romantic poets of a later era reinterpreted Lucifer as a Promethean figure, an emblem of intellectual rebellion against tyrannical authority and oppressive dogma, celebrating his defiance as a stand for freedom and enlightenment. One prominent Romantic poet famously asserted that the earlier epic poet was of the devil's party without knowing it, suggesting that the sheer power and appeal of Lucifer's voice in the epic poem unintentionally overshadowed the divine narrative, making the fallen angel a figure of subversive heroism and an inspiration for challenging established norms. In modern psychology, a renowned Swiss psychiatrist interpreted Lucifer as a manifestation of the shadow, the repressed, often dark aspects of the self that the conscious ego refuses to acknowledge. According to this psychologist, confronting and integrating the shadow is essential for individuation, the process of achieving psychological wholeness and self-realization. Lucifer, in this sense, is not merely a theological villain but a necessary figure in the psychological quest for completeness. To deny the Luciferian elements within oneself, ambition, pride, independence, and the capacity for rebellion, is to be ruled by them unconsciously, leading to internal conflict and disintegration. This psychological lens allows for a non-theological understanding of Lucifer's relevance to the human psyche. Philosophers like a prominent German thinker of the 19th century, though not explicitly focused on Lucifer, touched upon similar themes in their explorations of human agency and morality. His concept of the Übermensch, Overman, the rejection of imposed moralities, and the exaltation of the will to power reflect dynamics akin to the Luciferian impulse, a being who seeks self-definition and transcendence beyond divine or societal command. In this light, Lucifer is not just a fallen angel but a potent symbol of existential autonomy and tragic grandeur, embodying the struggle to define one's own values and destiny in a world without inherent meaning. Esoteric and Gnostic traditions add even more layers to this multifaceted figure, often presenting alternative perspectives that invert conventional interpretations. In some ancient spiritual beliefs, a false, often malevolent creator god is seen as the real tyrant, while the serpent in a primordial garden, sometimes associated with the Lucifer figure, is reinterpreted as a liberator, bringing forbidden knowledge and self-awareness to humanity, thereby challenging oppressive ignorance and promoting enlightenment. In certain contemporary spiritual and philosophical movements, the Lucifer figure is often revered not as a symbol of evil but of enlightenment, reason, and resistance to ignorance. He is portrayed as the bearer of forbidden truths, a Prometheus-like figure who risks all to awaken humanity to its full intellectual and spiritual potential, emphasizing knowledge and self-empowerment over blind obedience. Contemporary culture reflects these profound ambiguities and complexities, often reimagining Lucifer in ways that resonate with modern sensibilities. In popular television series and countless reinterpretations in literature, comics, and film, Lucifer is often portrayed as morally complex, emotionally wounded, and even capable of redemption. These modern versions don't deny his fall but reimagine it through the lens of psychological trauma, existential quest, or social alienation, often casting him as an anti-hero or a figure struggling with the consequences of his past. They reflect a significant cultural shift from rigid dualism to nuance, from outright condemnation to profound curiosity about the nature of evil and the human capacity for both light and darkness, allowing for a more humanized and relatable portrayal of a historically demonized figure. Yet, even in these varied retellings, the essential drama remains. Lucifer's fall is not merely a theological event but a profound metaphor for the human condition itself. His story embodies the perils of unchecked pride, the innate longing for autonomy, and the poignant tragedy of estrangement from the divine. He is a figure of brilliant light undone by his own magnificence, a symbol of immense potential transformed into ruin, serving as a cautionary tale of ambition unbridled by humility. In sum, Lucifer's transformation from an angelic being into the devil is not simply a static myth about good versus evil. It is a dynamic, evolving narrative that reflects the deepest anxieties and aspirations of the human spirit across millennia. From angel to adversary, from light to shadow, Lucifer remains a haunting, complex reminder that greatness without humility, freedom without reverence, and ambition without grace can lead not to glory, but to the most profound of falls, a descent into isolation and self-destruction.